Hey, this is Ben Kasani. Today I want to talk about a concept I call not by the book. Finding your authentic self and your authentic voice and being able to have an internal pressure, an internal drive that lets you live your life with energy and joy. So this topic came up because a friend of mine was really struggling to be his authentic self and to listen to his voice within. And I've seen a few friends and clients that have had this challenge where they know that if they had this energy to live their authentic self, that they have the energy to do the right actions. And they feel kind of stuck in their head, stuck in these patterns of trying to escape their feelings or what they really want in life, or settling for second best. So I hope I can reach you and help you feel like you have more power to change your life and more power to find joy, and a few tools that'll help you get a handle on how to start developing your authentic self muscle. Or maybe another way of saying it is remembering it or listening to it. So if you feel a little confused right now, right? And you see this little guy here, and this kind of represents you. You're feeling confused, you're stuck in your head. You're like, what do I do? Well, the first step is just to simply set an intention and state your desire. I want something better. Okay, then we need to use that magnifying glass and start honing in and getting clarity on, well, what is it that you want? What is it you really want? And that starts with going within, turning off all the external voices and noise, going inward, going into your heart, going into your soul and your body and your intuition, and start to listen and take time to slow down and to find that inner voice. So the other day I was struggling and I went out to the lake and got on a paddleboard. It was like a nice mental reset. The other thing I did was I started journaling out loud about some feelings and challenging things I went through as a kid. And that led me to see clearly of like what are the key questions and what are the key light bulb moments. The light bulbs are the things that are like an intuitive hit that really reach out to you and like grab hold of something like, wow, there's something here. And then as you start to get these key questions and these little intuitive hits, you'll start putting together this puzzle piece. And the more that you follow this pattern of seeking, asking questions, listening for intuitive hits, and putting the puzzle pieces together, you'll start to find your authentic voice. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to talk about see, say, feel, do, and then the 4 areas. And see, say, feel, do is something that comes from a book called The Law of Creation. And I want to expound upon this idea because I feel like it helps give clarity and balance to a lot of the nuances we feel. And a lot of times we find advice online or from people that tend to be like a seesaw or a boat where they're like lean too far this way or they're too far that way. And your life situation's over here, or maybe your life situation's over here. And as you can see, the whole picture of what's not going on just on the boat, but also what's under the surface, then you can start to understand, like, where do I fit on this map? And so a lot of times you'll find advice from other people or online that don't fit your personality in your situation. So you're left with a quandary of like, wait a second, something's off here. I like what they're saying, but how does this apply to me? I like this idea, but I just don't feel like this is authentic to who I am. So hopefully this model of the law of creation can help you start to find your unique way of doing things not by the book. Because the book is useful to a point, right? Like a book can tell you how to guide your sailboat, but it's not going to tell you everything you need to do. That's why you need your brain and your intuition. We have 4 areas that we use to create all things, okay? So you've got the ability to see, to imagine, your intuition. It's the 4 areas and how we energize and connect. I'm going to go over this briefly. So the spiritual is about our intuition, about energy. It's about starting to gather shapes and to imagine possibilities. This is our spiritual mind. And this is the part of us that is like childlike, that is imaginative, and is joyful. Then we have our intellect. This is the part of us that is our intellectual mind. This is our material mind. So first we have our energy mind, that's spiritual mind. Then we have the intellectual mind. This is where we say things, whether they're verbally inside our head or verbally to others. This is where we do mental concepts. This is where we articulate things through how we communicate to others and hear others, what they say. Then we have social emotional, that's feelings. This is how we relate to others. This is what we feel towards others. This is how we magnify emotions when we get in groups or in situations. And then the physical is the do. That's the practical. That's like getting things done. That's moving your body. That's breathing. Now we need all of these. A lot of times we focus only on the do. That's like the top part of the iceberg. Then we have all these things below the iceberg of feel, say, and see. So the whole iceberg matters. Now I kind of talked about this previously, but again, this is your spirit mind. Here's your material mind. So this is energy and this is material. Over here on the left. Okay, so down here in the bottom, we have our individual intelligence, our eternal awareness. Our awareness, each time we become more aware of something, we have an opportunity to change how we feel. That affects our spirit or energy body. This fuels our nervous system, our material mind. And a lot of times we think of motivation as only something that happens in our nervous system. But energy affects our nervous system, and our nervous system affects our energy body. They go both ways. It's like this cooperative kind of exchange. So the energy body, right? This is like our countenance and our brilliance. Like it's our emotions, it's our feelings, it's our relationships. Our spirit responds to feelings. And it also generates feelings and it spreads feelings. They can be contagious, good ones and bad ones, right? Like ones that uplift and inspire, ones that bring you down and make you feel heavy. Then we have over here is our material mind. And then we have our physical body. So why is this all important? Well, this kind of leads to the idea. Back in ancient times, Moses was a prophet that led the children of Israel out of Egypt. Now think of this. They were in slavery. They were in bondage. For 400 years, they had all these generational traumas and problems. And so Moses is taking like these kids from foster care to a new land. And not only is he trying to help them travel physically somewhere, he's trying to help them spiritually and mentally and social emotionally travel somewhere. So if you understand yourself as a living temple, because you are the living temple, then you can start to understand, how do I treat myself to go from this dysfunctional place to a healthy place in your promised land. Now, in the Bible, in Luke, it talks about Jesus grew in stature, in wisdom, he grew with favor with God and man. So these are the 4 areas in the Bible. Dr. Daniel Amen talks about them and helping people improve their brain health in their life: biological, physiological, social, and spiritual. Part of what is amazing here is I love the story of The Matrix or of The Truman Show or The Adjustment Bureau. And they're all about these people, they're trapped in this world and they're trying to find their way out. They're trying to find the code to creation. They're trying to find out what's real, who they really are, and what power do they really have. And so in The Truman Show, he thinks that he has this wonderful life, but something inside him is just feeling horrible. And in The Matrix, this rabbit shows up as a sign, as an invitation to another world, like Alice in Wonderland. And then in the Adjustment Bureau, what you have going on here is this man falls in love with a girl, but the watchers are saying, well, you can't get together. You guys have to stick to the plan. So for you to find your answers, you need to connect to the source code, to the source of light and truth, whether you believe it's God or some divine intelligence or the universe. The point is you find the source code so that you can become the programmer and creator, not the other way around, that you are the object and everything else is acting upon you. So find your rabbit. So this is your invitation. Find the rabbit that's going to lead you out of this matrix. Okay, so now let's get real here. What is the voice of your light within? Okay, so our temple. What is the history of your temple? Now, your temple, I showed you the 4 areas here, is made up of your spirit mind, your intelligence, your spirit body or energy body, your material mind or nervous system, and your physical body. To understand those 4 parts is the same way as saying in Myers-Briggs, you have your intuition, you have your feelings, you have your thinking, and you have your sensory or your do. Okay? So what is this voice of light that's within you? Well, that's your intuition. That's one way to look at it, right? And when you go out in nature and you feel like yourself, you go talk to a friend, you feel like you've got your mojo back. What is that? What little switch just turned that you feel like, oh, that's me again? Or when you're writing something in your journal, or this intuitive thought comes to you when you're in the shower, or when you're waking up in the middle of the night. How do you know that's you, that's your voice, that's God speaking to you, or that's the light within you shining out? So let's just talk about a little bit here of nature. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust this slideshow here a little bit. Boop. And we'll go back to present. All right. Present. Okay. Well, I had a friend, and he likes to go out to nature. And so when your nervous system is grounded and your body feels grounded, your mind's going to feel more sharp and clear. You're not going to feel all these eternal external pressures as much because you feel grounded. Because it's like radio waves just going to go around you because you're grounded. So all these external radio waves and signals are coming at you. And when you're grounded and you're in nature and you're grounded in your body, so you can get grounded through meditation, grounded through going to a sacred space, grounded through nature, whatever your mountain is. You go to that holy mountain, that holy place, that sacred place. And holy means it helps you feel whole. Okay, this doesn't have to be religious, but it can be if it's useful for you. The real point, though, is when you're grounded, you're going to be able to have that clear mind. When you have that clear mind, you're going to be able to reflect. And you're going to be able to get answers from your intuition. And so the next thing I found helpful is journaling. Okay, now some of us are more introverted thinkers and some are more extroverted thinkers. So you're going to find a benefit from understanding which one you are more predominantly or which one flows for you better. So for me, in order to reach my inner voice, it was more helpful to talk out loud. So as I'm talking out loud and I record myself using a program and then it transcribes it so I can look at the text, so it's something outside me, it's physical, that's very useful. Writing it down was very useful. Now, for some people, writing works better, and some people, talking works better. For me, talking works a lot better, especially dealing with very difficult things where I don't know my voice. And so as you trust yourself, and I hope I can reach you here on this key point, that when you are trying to get your inner voice out, and you want to be able to really speak from your authentic place, you need to recognize it when you hear it and when it shows up. And so that when you can send that signal outward, it's not just a copy of someone else's, but it's your unique own signature voice. Okay, so journaling is an amazing way, as a tool that can help you to develop your inner voice. I've been journaling now for years, and it's been very helpful to go back and look at patterns and themes because it helps me overcome my ego. When I write it down, I'm like, ooh, I see a pattern. Oh, I did that. Oh, that was me. That's my fault. I can't blame it on someone else. If I'm in a conversation, some external voice or pressure is coming at me, telling me something about my ego, it's a lot harder to accept than if it's coming from within. It's a lot easier journey in many ways. I found that you can find your internal voice by finding those right people that bring it out of you, or just create that safe place to let you express your authentic voice. I think each month, every week for me, I love to have some friend that I feel close to that gets me and that just allows me to kind of be me without condemnation or judgment and express my authentic voice. And the more that I do that, the more comfortable I get with being able to feel comfortable in my power to reach out to others from my authentic voice. When we come together as friends, and those people that help you feel like your best self, they make you feel higher or more important, more significant or more loved, whatever that is, they're helping that voice within you come out. They see it, or they are open to it, or they're willing to accept you with all your quirks and uniqueness and amazing gifts. And the next tool that's helpful is understanding which mind is this coming from. So as you're getting signals and you're listening, you have two minds. Now, one mind is very analytical, and it's kind of like a seesaw. It's like one extreme, other extreme. It's always looking at polarities. And so you can say, oh, I had a bad day, I had a good day, I had this, I had that. And the material mind needs some governance, kind of like a parent. So this is kind of like the kid. It's like, ooh, a candy. Ooh, like vegetables, right? Now, maybe as you grow older, you're like, ooh, vegetables, candy, whatever that is. There's a polarity. And this mind is about polarities. And it's about this is that, this is that. This mind is like the loving parent. This mind is like God or Holy Spirit or peace or love or light, whatever you want to call that. This mind is our spirit mind. It's intuitional. And so when you slow down and you go to those places that help you feel like a holy living temple, where you set up your environment or you do those things that help you get into the right headspace, you can start to tune into this mind. And this mind can help you govern this mind. When this mind's in the space of spirit mind or loving wholeness or holiness, it's a very healthy, useful thing. When it gets outside that loving space, what would love do, when it's not doing what love would do, or it's going to these extremes or fears that aren't useful, That's the material mind going outside the space of love into these extremes. And kind of like a CPU, it's like overheating. And that's when you're going to feel stuck. That's when the light's not going to flow very well. And you're in kind of this, what Jeffrey Allen calls moya moya, which basically means you just kind of feel like chaotic or unorganized, or you're flooding emotionally, or you're shutting down, or everything feels heavy. And when you're in spirit mind, it doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like somebody has put handcuffs on you. When you're in spirit mind and your material mind is in the space of spirit mind, you're going to feel more loving and at peace. So think of this as the intuitional mind. Think of this as the analytical mind. So here's a great tool for starting to understand what your authentic voice is. Triggers. Now, I wanted to bring up something I heard from Sage Robbins on this topic. And so she was talking about that triggers are, how did she put this? I'm just going to quote her. It's such an interesting space in the world stage right now in the interpretation of triggers. It's an opportunity to possibly perceive and take a look at your own inner world differently. And so for my own experience, triggers are a wake-up call. They're an opportunity for us to tune into our reactions and our responses. It's an invitation to wake up to. Your own internal beliefs and your thoughts are causing a suffering and possibly invade our awareness. And so we need to breathe into that space and expand. And because the interesting thing of how triggers are being conveyed, it's possible that it's something that we shouldn't experience, and yet we do. So I think what she's saying here, and I don't think I quoted her perfectly, but is we need to find the good side of triggers here. How they're useful, how they can serve us. So if we look at triggers as alarm clocks, something that's annoying, something that's a hassle, versus we look at the sun and it rises and we gently wake up and it just feels good. And we're like, oh, this is what the world's like today, right? Or, oh, it's stormy. Or, oh, it's beautiful. Or, oh, it's the hurricane's coming. Or, oh, it's going to be a perfect day. Whatever that weather is of the day, we have a different mind because we can see from a place of light. When we only see triggers as these alarm clocks that are ruining our life and our relaxation and the way we're trying to live our life, it's going to give us a different experience. And here's why triggers are a tool. Triggers help us understand our values. The other day, I was triggered by someone. I didn't like his overly intellectual approach to the communication. I wanted to focus on being inspiring and the exciting things and being creative. So I learned about my values. I value people that like to be passionate and talk about a topic, that like to be innovative and empowering and creative. I don't like to spend a lot of energy or time on intellectual debates when I'm trying to teach something or trying to share something. I want to see real impact. I don't want to be in a head trip. Now, there are useful times to be analytical, and there's useful times to be passionate. These aren't bad or good. The material mind would look at these and say, that's bad, that's good. But you understand, I value focusing on the people that I can help and inspire. And I value acknowledging people who are different. And I can acknowledge them and move on and focus more of my time on the areas that align with my values. I still value people that are different from me. I don't want to discredit these people that triggered me and say, well, you don't exist or matter. But what I do want to do is shift my focus. So I don't want to spend a lot of time over here. I can acknowledge, be kind and respectful and be in a place of love. And then I can move over here and say, I want to focus my light and my energy on serving the people that I can really reach. And so that to me was something I learned from triggers this last week. And so as you're going through trying to figure out, well, what is your authentic voice? Let me review again here. So we've got nature, right? That can help your body and your mind, your intellect, your material mind kind of calm down so that you can actually see and self-reflect. We've got journaling as a way to see patterns and trends in your life, whether it's through recording your voice or through writing it with a pen and paper. It's a way to start listening to that intuitive voice that can speak through you. Triggers are a great way to understand what your values are and to self-reflect and figure out what do you really want that's inside here. Like we place our worth and our focus on like the career and the money and the family and the education and the car, all these things that are material, that are external to who we really are. So triggers are a great way to self-examine, find what you value. And the more that you feed those values, the more you'll discover your authentic self. Next one is, which mind is this coming from? Is this coming from the spirit mind intuitional place, or is this coming from the analytical material mind? Meditation's a great tool to help reset your brain and nervous system to get in this place of like creativity so that you can see new perspectives and solutions. It's been very helpful for me. You're a social being. You need to be heard and share. So find a place and choose one or two people or an outlet where you feel comfortable and where you can let your guard down a bit and just share. Just get those ideas out and make it be focused on not complaining, but on serving and growing, on what brings out my authentic voice. Keep asking yourself that question. What brings out my authentic voice? Write it on a little piece of paper, put it under your pillow, wake up in the morning, see what happens. The point is, primary, key, powerful questions focus your intuitional energy. So if you want to focus your energy and feel more energized, you need a container. I'll start with a question and with a state of mind. And as you get that primary question, and then you put it out into the world in a sense, that question will guide your energy. And it's kind of like you turn on a little radio and say, I want to listen to inspiring classical music. My question is, where is there inspiring classical music in the universe? And it's like you turn your radio station on. It's like, I would like inspiring classical music ideas. And it's like these things just start coming to you in your life. Now, it's not magic. It's real. Tony Robbins talks about there's a part of your brain that when you have a question, it'll find those things. Like, what's brown in this room? Or what's amazing in life? And that question will help you focus. So this also works on an energy basis. When you have a question that's powerful, that's empowering, and then you just step back and wait and listen and give yourself and the universe or God or angels, however you look at it, space to come and answer those questions. That you trust yourself and trust the universe around you, that there is support, that God's got your back, the universe has got your back, that the angels got your back, that there are friends and people who have got your back. And so I just want to wrap this up with saying that trust yourself. Trust that you are here for a purpose of a part of a divine plan, and there is a way for you to grow and succeed and find your authentic voice. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.